You are given $2 trillion and 20 years to build something in the USA. What do you build? I would build a table. I'm pretty sure I could learn how to do that in 20 years. Yeah, but it'll collapse the minute you leave it alone. A legitimate railway system for public transportation. One of the biggest issues I've had with the US when living there. They told me public transport wasn't good. They didn't tell me that it was ducking non-existent. Oh, it exists. If you don't mind walking 5 miles to the nearest bus stop, and then waiting 45 minutes for a bus, and then the trip taking longer than it would to ride your bike. I would like to tell everybody on Reddit my commute: drive to bus station, wait for bus, go to train station, wait for train, go to my destination, do whatever the duck I have to do, go back to train station, wait for train, contemplate jumping onto the tracks, get on train, go my initial train station, get off train and watch my bus leave without me, wait for another bus, think about how lame my life is, get on bus, go to bus station, get on car, drive home, cry. Hey man, my dad did this for years until he burned out and took his life. Please don't push yourself too hard. That kind of commute is soul crushing. I know you were joking about jumping on the tracks, but really, I get it. A giant statue dedicated to me for all the hard work I did building it. Pay the Japanese and/or French to build actual good quality high-speed rail to every state. Ooh, and since we're doing this all at once, can they all work off a single payment system? Obviously prices would still vary depending on certain factors, but I want to be able to boop card scanners with just one card and go all the way across the country. No more buy a bus pass card in place A to get to place B where you have to pay in cash like a caveman to get to point C, where there is exactly one beaten up old machine that spits out a paper ticket that will bring you to point D where you have to download their bus app. Is this a thing in the US? Sort of. If you're just going around a single city, probably not. But if you want to travel a long distance, especially across states, you are going to be dealing with a large number of totally different bus systems. I had a minor dose of annoyance just a few days back with this. I wanted to visit my hometown, but one bus I needed to take worked on a totally different system. It was frustrating to go from my normal bus system, clean, well organized, modern, info easily available, one card for going anywhere, to the weird system outside my city, poorly maintained, considerably more expensive, cash only, website old looking and unclear, weird system of paper passes where you need a different pass based on things like what station you're leaving from, broken air conditioner, etc. We travel between New Jersey and New York every day. This requires 3 separate apps. I know of NJT and MTA. What's the third one? 2 office chairs for the military. 2 office chairs for the military. You reminded me of this exchange from Duck Soup, 1933, Rufus T. Firefly, now that you're Secretary of War, what kind of an army do you think we ought to have? Shikolini, well, I tell you what I think we should have a standing army. Rufus T. Firefly, why should we have a standing army? Shikolini, because then we save money on chairs. Build several huge dollar science competitions and grants for carbon recapture, climate cooling, heat harvesting, sustainable plant-based meats, especially fish, and ocean cleanup. Look into aquaponics and permaculture. They're the most efficient ways of addressing multiple climate issues at once: food security, water security, carbon sequestration. I would build an aquaponics system. I built an aquaponics system for a non-profit for demonstration purposes using a 50-gallon food-grade barrel. Got some basil out of it. I wish I could have done a larger scale, but my budget was only $200. So with $2 trillion, you could build at least 10. I'd squander it on an unwinnable war. You'd play the hits. Just take those old records off the shelf. I would invest it in safe nuclear power generation to make cheap electricity for everyone. As a physicist, I approve this. As someone made of up atoms, I approve of this. Also invest a bit into fusion technology so you don't have any of that nuclear waste. Nothing. Like most people who get money, I can now game the system and ensure I never have to pay you back anything. I'm the richest person in the world at this point. Try me. Time to build that space elevator, guys. New jobs for everyone. Imagine if some jackass hit all the buttons so you had to make a stop every 10 feet. Does dismantling the insurance industry count as building something? Only if you word it as building a brighter future or something. Or building a metaphorical missile to destroy the insurance industry. Use it as an acronym: B, burn you, unbearable I, insurance L, litigation D, down. Buy Nestlé, then dissolve it. In what? Water? Where will you find the water? They thought of everything. Tried dissolving it in Red Bull, now Therese Super Nestlé flying around giving me the finger. I feel like that's just regular Nestlé. Bridge to Hawaii edit. I appreciate people are considering the engineering challenges of my dumb joke and allegory for the Afghanistan war. Would this be possible even with those resources? Any engineers that can weigh in? The ocean is pretty damn deep. It would take decades to build, possibly 100 years, probably cost way more than $2 trillion, be absurdly expensive to maintain and make zero economic sense. There would be massive waves hitting it, so potential times it is unsafe to drive on. You would need multiple rest stops on the bridge and fuel stations, motels with parking, etc. You would need to build at crazy depths. You would need emergency services, police and ambulance facilities to be built. If we had a Turkmenistan-style arrogant dictator, then I guess technically possible, yes. It makes literally zero sense though. So, a tunnel then? Oh yes. A tunnel at those depths and pressure, and doing all of the above is much easier. Floating tunnels. Fill them half with water and have floating taxis take people along edit. Sorry, that's boats with more steps. This is what you get when you take insanity and genius and make it into a cocktail. I'd spend it on healthcare and education. And a giant statue of William T. Sherman on Stone Mountain looking down on Atlanta with flaming eyes. But mostly health and education. Oh, and fix our ducking roads and bridges. The SCP Foundation, because duck the world. But where do you get the SCPs? Make your own. DIY SCP. So, Florida? A huge penis building that goes into space. Guys, I found Bezos's Reddit account. I think Zeus just ordered a dildo from Amazon, that's why Bezos sent a phallus into space. High-speed cross-country rail and more efficient public transpo. Too many cars in major cities. An excellent group of universities where the fee isn't 2 kidneys for 1 sem? Where do you source your kidneys, because I think you might be getting ripped off. A wall exactly 1 imperial foot longer than the Great Wall of China. The Great Wall 2, electric boogaloo. It'd build a Lego house. Tantalus, the Maze of Madness, 10 square miles of concrete and steel walls, 20 feet tall. If you can navigate it, you get $1 million. But you are wearing a loincloth and you can't take anything in there with you, no food, water, writing utensils, friggin' naval lint, nothing. Update, I truly did not know how popular Maze Runner was. I was thinking more Wrath of the Titans. Similar idea, but a bit less mythic. Build a dungeon, with some kind of monster guarding whatever remains of the treasure money. Conquer the dungeon, and redistribute some wealth into your own pockets. Of course, I also make sure I own the surrounding infrastructure. Inns, smithies, potion shops, etc. So kinda basically a casino? As many solar fields and other renewable energy sources as possible, and reduce the cost of energy as much as possible for everyone. And transmission lines. There are wind and solar projects stuck in development that can't move forward because the process to get the power to where it's needed is a giant, backlogged, multi-state years-long cluster. High-speed underground railroad that would connect every major city in the country. Similar thoughts for me, but is $2 trill even enough? That's such an ungodly amount of money it's hard to wrap my head around. High-speed not underground rail costs about $60 million a mile, so 2 trillion buys 33,333 miles give or take. Let's call it 35,000 and assume we get some efficiency with scale. Also, I assume this means the largest city in every state plus every city that is over 500k population, so I'm guessing you end up around 60 to 70 cities. Assuming they just need to be connected to the closest large city and maybe some are hubs, I think you could do it. The average distance would need to be 500 miles or less to use 35k total miles of maglev track. Reasonable to assume that underground is only needed for portions EMO. The government would calculate like this, build it, then on opening day someone would ask, shouldn't there be some trains too? And then they'd borrow another 2 trillion to build trains. Edit, I got this idea because in my hometown they built a hospital, but they spent the budget for staff on the building, so it sat empty for like 7 months while the government borrowed another bunch of money. No trains, only tunnel. Go in at one end of the country as a young boy, come out the other as an elderly mole man. The American dream. Don't give the boring company any ideas.